Welcome back to Midday. We have Mark Bertoli joining us from Abbott Wealth Management. Happy Wednesday in the sunshine to you, Mark.
It's a great day.
It is beautiful out there. We're talking about something that I don't know a lot about today, so I'm going to get an education as well.
Okay.
The U.S. Federal Reserve.
Yes.
And we're talking about the difference between monetary and fiscal policy.
Right. We have the Bank of Canada and our government as well on that. So, I want to talk, basically, I'll start with monetary policy. So monetary policy is where they actually have levers that affect the economy. So for instance, interest rates, stimulus packages, things like this. Okay, so ironically, just this morning, the Federal Reserve, Janet Yellen, just announced that they had wording in their last meetings that they were going to be patient about interest rate moves. So they have these levers that they try to regulate the economy with. So they look at things like employment, inflation, and interest rates and things like that affect those. So by raising interest rates, for instance, they can slow down the flow of money. They can change people's thoughts about how they're going to borrow money to invest or to invest in companies or different things like that, so they can slow the economy. By having low interest rates like we have now, as I said a couple of weeks ago, there's more people working in the US than there ever has been. So things are going very well there. They also use those levers to make sure that we have strong economic growth. So they've just revised the economic growth in the States down to between 2.3 to 2.7% for 2015. It was originally pegged at just between 2.5 and 3%. So that would mean that they wouldn't be as anxious to raise interest rates and slow the economy down.
Right.
So they can use these levers to try and regulate a nice, smooth economy. That way you avoid the bubbles.
Sure. And how often do these levers get moved around?
Well, you know, a couple weeks ago we talked about that they were talking about raising interest, the Federal Reserve, and that caused the markets to go down. And I said the markets actually went down today because the U.S. economy is doing well, if you remember that conversation. So, you know, monthly in the U.S., depending on what's going on economically. Now, there's other levers out there, fiscal policy. And fiscal policy is more to do with the government. So they may decide to increase tax. In a great economy, if they want to slow things down, maybe they increase tax a bit. If 2008, for instance, a lot of things happened, the economy was slowing down, they would increase spending. So they may increase infrastructure spending or something like that to spur jobs, employment, and the economy.
Okay.
So there's your levers.
It's almost like the gas and the brakes.
Exactly.
They can use either to help keep things even keeled.
You know, and you think back to the Depression in the 30s, they didn't have those levers, or they weren't as refined as they are today to watch different aspects of the economy.
Interesting. I did some homework. The Federal Reserve is 102 years old.
There you go.
That's what I learned today. 102 years old.
And today, ironically, they removed the word patient on their outlook of raising interest rates. May happen in June or September, depending on, you know, all those factors that they look at every day.
It's really been a delay in what everyone expected would have happened quite a while ago, the raising of interest rates, and they keep putting it off and putting it off.
Yeah, you know what? I really like the way the economy is acting. There's not this, you know, it's a greed fear cycle, and right now it's a pretty stable economy. I like 2.5 to 3% growth. It's when things get crazy that you start as an investor to look at things and go, wait a minute, what's coming up here?
Sure.
I really like stable growth. It's good for the economy. It's good for companies, growth patterns, stable employment. So.
Absolutely. We have a question of the week that we would love to put up on the screen. Let's see what it says. What is an advanced care planning directive, and why should we have one, Mark Bertoli?
Okay, so the why. Advanced care directive is a directive that I would have if something were to happen to me, either health or an accident or something like that in my life. So the why. It gives clear direction to your family as to what to do. So I often tell people the story, if something happened to myself. I have 2 daughters, and I've been in an accident, and there's no outlook for my surviving this. So I would give my directive. if I didn't have that, my daughters may have a debate. And one daughter is in medicine. She says, you know what, Dad's not going to make it. We should just let this go. And the other one goes, emotionally, Dad's strong, and I think he will. Well, if that decision's put on them, many times that could cause a long-term rift between your children, for instance. So it takes that decision out of their hands. So that's a big thing. The other thing is critical illness. Is a new type of insurance that's out there. My personal directive says to wait 30 days. I have a critical illness policy that if I survive for 30 days pays out to my estate.
Okay.
So that would be a new part of that. And who, everyone should have one. You would keep a copy with your family, of course, to let them know. But a good place is to keep it with your will, with your lawyer as well, and with your family doctor if you can. So everyone knows what your wishes are.
Because the more that you do before you go, even if it's an accident or just for the one day that you do go, it's just easier for the family, truly, on so many levels.
Yeah, it's just good planning.
Yes, truly. Mark Bertoli, always a pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Information on the screen, abbottwealth.com as well. If you have a question, info@Abbott Wealth. We are back in 2 minutes. Stay with us.